Here's everything you need to know about the Sean P Diddy Combs trial for the last week. One of Diddy's ex-girlfriends, who's using the name Jane on the stand, testified for 6 days. She was under cross-examination for a few of those days, but she had a lot to say about Diddy, including how she got involved in the freak-offs, and that once she completed her first freak-off for him to make him happy, it opened a Pandora's box of sexual activity for her. Diddy's defense was grilling Jane, trying to make the whole thing sound consensual and that she wanted to participate in these events. There were numerous text messages shared in court, along with some of her saying she didn't want to have sex with anyone but just him. But again, she was fearful. He also paid for her rent and her lifestyle, and she felt she could not say no. Jane also testified that she was dating Diddy when Cassie's video became public. It was in 2023, and she said after it dropped that Diddy changed. He became a better listener, more affectionate with her, and even more loving. Jane also shared on the stand that another celebrity couple used a sex worker named Anton, and he was one of the freak-off members that Diddy would often hire. She talked about an instance when she was in Las Vegas, and she said that she was in a hotel room with this other celebrity couple and watched this sex worker, Anton, have intercourse and do a freak-off with another woman. She said Diddy got extremely upset with her, was not happy, but she also said they were also fighting about allegedly him cheating and being on vacation in Wyoming, and pictures emerged of him with another woman. During cross-examination, Jane said that when she was having these freak-offs, it would just be drug-induced. She said she needed drugs to do it. She needed drugs to recover. She said, what do you expect from a woman who is doing 24 hours of freak-offs and full of drugs? She did not want to participate in these. She told Diddy numerous times, but she felt she had to, and he did not let up. They finished off cross-examination of Jane on the trial, making it the end of day 22 in the Diddy trial saga. The next witness on the stand, starting off day 23, was Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Andre Lamont. He was talking about Diddy's arrest last year and what they found in his LA home. He said that they found 900 bottles of Astroglide, 200 bottles of baby oil, and these, of course, were all being used at the freak-offs when his girlfriends and other women were having sex with these male escorts, etc. He also said that in a nightstand, they found 6 envelopes marked with a K on them, and when they were tested, they all tested positive for ketamine. We've probably all seen the pictures of the weapons that they found in Diddy's home, but one thing that was interesting that the Homeland Security expert said was that they actually found 59 rounds of green tip ammunition, which is manufactured to penetrate body armor. Today was also one for the books because this guy showed up. Kanye showed up at the courthouse to show his support for Diddy. We know he has spoken out in the past showing his support for Diddy, but this is the first time he's shown up at the courthouse. He stayed for about 40 minutes. He didn't make it inside the actual courthouse. He was in the overflow kind of area. He basically showed up, made an appearance, and then ended up jumping back into his car after about 40 minutes and left. Up next on the stand was another personal assistant to Diddy. This time it was Jonathan Perez, who's 35 years old. He says that he worked for Diddy from December of 2021 until just this past September. He is just another one of Diddy's workers who was charged with the task of setting up the hotel rooms for his freak-offs. Now, this personal assistant called them King Nights, and he said that they would have about 2 to 24 hours notice before he was going to arrive at the hotel to set things up. He said that he needed to have food, a change of clothes, condoms, lubricants, red lights. These were just among some of the items that were commonly packed. Perez said that he actually found a sex tape, one of the freak-off videos of Diddy's. He said it was on one of the company or Diddy's personal iPads that the company used, and he said he immediately brought it to their attention. He said it was Jane having sex with another person while Diddy was watching. He also talked about the Gucci bag that Diddy traveled with constantly. He said in this bag was cash, cocaine, ketamine, Adderall, Xanax, and Molly, and he said he never went anywhere without it. He said one of the main elements of his job was buying drugs for Diddy. He said his head security guard would give him the cash, he'd go get the drugs, and then the head security guy would submit receipts to get the money back. At this point, the judge clears the courtroom, and he says he has a sensitive issue to talk about because for the last few days, prosecution has been trying to get one of the jurors dismissed. Juror 6's candor and ability to follow directions is being questioned. Now, apparently, they're not sure where exactly he lives. He said sometimes New York, sometimes he said New Jersey. This was all in pre-juror questions, as well as talking to attorneys during the sessions, and they want him gone. So after hearing 3 weeks of testimony, the juror number 6, has now been dismissed. They're going to bring in an alternate who has been there the whole time listening to the case, but has not been one of the official jurors until now. So the judge said on Friday that he went back through some of the video pre-trial and said that yes, sometimes the juror was saying that he lived in the Bronx, other times he was saying he lived in New Jersey, and he said that's why they have alternates. If you have a questionable juror, they need to get rid of them and bring in an alternate. Day 24 was pretty interesting in the case because jurors were actually played a freak-off video and had to watch. Now, the video was only shown to jurors, and it was of Cassie and a couple men during freak-offs. Now, it was videos from 2012 and 2014. They were shown just short clips, but some jurors did have visible reactions to it. A paralegal for the U.S. Attorney's Office was also on the stand going over text messages and emails between Diddy and his employees, showing evidence that he was paying his employees to get illegal activities and substances for him. One of the texts talked about getting him 15 pills of Molly. Also on the stand was a U.S. Attorney's Office special agent who talked about the transportation to engage in prostitution charge. They went over the flight records for Jules Theodore, who was an escort that was frequently hired by Diddy, and it showed that Combs and Ventura were hiring him for certain trips, and it was transportation of prostitution across lines. Today marked day 25 of Diddy's trial, and the defense announced that they may be done tomorrow with their witnesses, but they said it could take up until Friday, so nothing's set in stone. And his defense team said that they would present its case in 2 to 5 days of trial, but again, not set in stone. And the judge said that a jury charge could come as early as next week. First up on the stand today was, finishing off from yesterday, it was the U.S. Attorney's Office special agent again, who was talking about the transportation for prostitution charges. So she noted that a sex worker's round-trip travel from LA to New York in August of 2009 appears to have been paid for by Combs, according to her testimony. They have evidence that Combs actually paid for this because it was on an American Express card that went back to Diddy. Now, they said that it was actually on his charges in September of 2009. And again, this was Jules Theodore, who Cassie also testified that he was frequently one of their freak-off members. This witness also reviewed some receipts from hotels where they charged Diddy for cleanup after his freak-off mess. Now, she went through a few of them. One of them was the Beverly Hills Hotel, who billed $500 for damage to drapes and carpets. Another hotel charged him $950 for deep cleaning. And probably the most crazy one was actually the Intercontinental Hotel, which is where the video of him beating Cassie was taken. They charged him $46,786 for penthouse damage on October 5th of 2012. That's it for today, but we were supposed to hear from Brendan Paul. He was supposed to be on the witness stand today. He's the man who was arrested with Diddy at the Miami airport when Diddy's homes were all raided because Brendan had a bag of drugs on him at the time. Now, earlier today, the prosecution said that they did think they'd wrap up by Friday this week with their witnesses and be done with their side of the case. But now they're saying that it may not take place because today took longer than they expected, and Brendan Paul didn't make it on the witness stand today. The testimony today by the witness may be enough for the jury to convict on charges 3 and 5, and here's why. This is transportation to engage in prostitution, also called the Mann Act. So for the Mann Act, there's 2 convictions for this. So 1, knowingly transporting or attempting to transport a person in interstate or foreign commerce, and 2, with intent that the person engage in prostitution or other specified illegal sexual activity. So as much as the sex trafficking and the RICO charges have been coming to play here with all the witnesses so far, today the Mann Act charges are quietly probably the easiest to convict right now because of the evidence they had with his credit card being used to transport that escort, I guess we'll call him, back and forth through state lines. Prosecution pretty much got all they wanted from that one witness who wasn't even an eyewitness, just went through receipts, data, and evidence. So prosecution is starting to wrap up. They need a few more days, and Diddy's lawyers say they only need about 3 to 5 days for their case. So we are starting to wrap up. The jury could have this case by next week. I'm going to continue reporting, so make sure you hit follow.